Hey everyone, and welcome! We're about to jump into the absolutely amazing, colorful world of tie-dye. I mean, from ancient art to the t-shirt you might be wearing right now, we're going to figure out what makes these patterns tick. And it all starts with one kind of weird question.
Okay, so how in the world do you color fabric by tying it in knots? I mean, think about it. How can you get these wild, complicated designs on a shirt just by bunching it up and wrapping some string around it? It feels like it shouldn't work, right?
Well, the secret sauce is something called resist dyeing. And honestly, it's a super simple but brilliant idea. All you're doing is creating a barrier, a resist, that physically stops the dye from getting to parts of the fabric. So the pattern isn't made by what you dye, it's made by what you don't dye.
It's all about pressure and protection. Think of it like this. Where you tie the string super tight or fold the cloth and clamp it down, you're creating so much pressure that the liquid dye just can't get in. It's like a sealed-off zone. And that protected spot, it just stays whatever color the fabric was to begin with.
Right, so that basic idea of blocking the dye is the key to everything we're going to talk about. Let's dig a little deeper into the real art of it. Okay, and here's where the science gets super cool. This isn't just like slapping paint on the wall. Nope, the dye molecules are actually creating a chemical bond with the fibers of the fabric, with things like cotton or silk. That's the reason the colors are so incredibly bright and why they don't just wash out, they're locked in for good.
So once you get that basic idea, block the dye, let the rest bond, then you can really start having fun. And wow, have people gotten creative with it. Artisans all over the world have come up with some mind-blowing ways to tie and fold to create just about any pattern you can imagine.
First up, let's head over to India and look at an art form called bandhani. The name itself literally means to bind or to tie, which is just perfect because this technique is all about creating a whole universe of tiny, beautiful dots.
And you have to appreciate the work that goes into this. It's so meticulous. An artisan will push up just a tiny little pinch of fabric, sometimes using a special tool, and then wrap it super tightly with thread. Now, imagine doing that thousands of times on one piece of cloth. The result is just breathtaking, these incredibly detailed patterns.
Staying in India, but moving over to Rajasthan, we find something called lahiriya. The name comes from the word leher, which means wave. And, you guessed it, the whole point of this technique is to create these beautiful wavy patterns.
So instead of all those tiny dots, with lahiriya, you take the whole piece of fabric and you roll it up diagonally. Then you just tie strings around the roll at different spots. After it's dyed and you unroll it, bam, you get these gorgeous flowing stripes that look exactly like waves. All right, let's hop over to Japan now for the art of shibori. The word itself means to wring, squeeze, or press, which is a great hint because shibori is actually a whole family of really precise, really controlled techniques. One of the coolest shibori methods actually uses a needle and thread. You start by stitching a design right onto the fabric. Then, you pull on that thread and it gathers the fabric up into these tight little bunches along your stitch line. When you dye it, only the outside edges of the bunches get color, leaving you with these amazingly elegant and super controlled patterns. It's incredible. Okay, so we've got the tying part down. That's how you make the pattern. But what about the actual colors? Let's talk about the science of the dyes themselves. For most of history, all dyes came from nature. Think turmeric for yellow, beets for red, indigo for blue. You've got these really beautiful earthy colors. But now, well, we still use natural dyes, but we also have synthetic chemical dyes. And these things open up a whole new world. We're talking an almost infinite range of super bright, super consistent colors. Those electric, psychedelic shades from the 60s and 70s? That's all thanks to chemical dyes.
And what's interesting is that not all of these modern dyes are the same. You have to match the dye to the fabric. So, for example, you've got Prussian dyes, which are amazing for stuff like cotton and linen. But other dyes are designed to work better with wool, or even synthetics, like nylon. It really is a science of matching the right chemicals to get the best color.
Okay, so we've covered the how, the techniques and the dyes. Now let's zoom way out and look at the when and where. Because this isn't some new trend. Tie-dye has an unbelievably rich history that goes back thousands of years.
Seriously, this is ancient stuff. We've found evidence of resist dyeing in South America and Africa from way back in the 5th century. A century later, it pops up in written records in Asia. And get this, in the famous Ajanta caves in India, there are paintings from that era showing people wearing clothes with dot patterns that experts are pretty sure is an early version of bandhani.
So you might be wondering, how did these ideas spread?
Well, this quote really hits the nail on the head. As communities migrate, they continue their traditional work. It was all about people moving. A great example is when artisans from Gujarat moved to Madurai in Tamil Nadu ages ago. They brought their skills with them, and that's how the art form took root in a new place.
And today, you can find these amazing traditions all over the world. India is still the absolute center for Bandhani. Japan is famous for that super precise shibori we talked about. And you've got these totally unique, homegrown styles that have been around for centuries in Africa and South America. It's truly global.
So, in our world of factories and everything being mass-produced, what's so special about tie-dye? Why does it still matter? Well, it boils down to one simple fact. Every single piece is totally unique. This quote here just says it perfectly. Because it's all done by hand, no two pieces can ever be exactly alike. Think about it, the way one person twists the fabric, how tight they pull the string, all those little human variations, it means every single item is a one-off.
And people are still innovating. Artists today are even flipping the whole process on its head with something called reverse tie-dye. Instead of adding color, they start with a dark shirt, tie it up, and then use bleach to remove the color. It creates these super striking, high-contrast patterns that you see everywhere now.
So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to one number. 1. That's how many identical pieces you get with handmade tie-dye. When you own one, you own the only one in the entire world that looks exactly like that. It's a true original.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. In a world that's just full of mass-produced stuff, where you can buy 1,000 of the exact same thing, what's the value of something that is, and always will be, completely one of a kind?